himself into the cavernous kitchen. Frank had not entered it for many years. Nevertheless, although it was very dark, he remembered where the door was into the hall, and he groped his way towards it, his nostrils full of the smell of decay, ears prickled for the sound of footsteps or voices from overhead. He reached the hall, which is a little lighter, owing to the large mullioned window on the side of the front door, and started to climb the stairs, blasting the desk that lay thick on the stone, because it muffled the sound of his feet and stick. On the landing, Frank turned right and saw at once where the intruders were. At the end of the passage, a door stood ajar, and a flickering light shone through the gap, casting a long sliver of gold across the black floor. Frank edged closer and closer, grasping his walking stick firmly. Several feet from the entrance, he was able to see a narrow slice of the room beyond. The fire now, he saw, had been lit in the grate. This surprised him. When he stopped moving and listened intently, for a man's voice spoke within the room. It sounded timid and fearful. "There's a little more in the bottle, my lord, if you're still hungry." "Later," said the second voice. It too belonged to a man, but it was strangely high-pitched and cold, as a sudden blast of icy wind. Something about that voice made the sparse hairs on the back of Frank's neck stand up. "Move me closer to the fire, Wormtail." Frank turned his right ear towards the door, the better to hear. Then came the clink of a bottle being put down upon some hard surface, and then the dull scraping noise of a heavy chair being dragged across the floor. Frank caught a glimpse of a small man, his back to the door, pushing the chair into place. He was wearing a long black cloak, and there was a bald patch at the back of his head. Then he went out of sight again. "Where is Nagini?" said the cold voice. I don't know, my lord," said the first voice nervously. She went to go explore the house, I think." "You will milk her before we retire, Wormtail," said the second voice. "I will need feeding in the night. The journey has tired me greatly." Brow furrowed, Frank inclined his good ear still closer to the door, listening very hard. There was a pause, and the man called Wormtail spoke again. My lord, may I ask how long we are going to stay here?" "A week," said the cold voice. "Perhaps longer. This place is moderately comfortable, and the plan cannot proceed yet. It would be foolish to act before the Quidditch World Cup is over." Frank inserted a finger into his ear and rotated it. Owing, no doubt, a buildup of earwax, he heard the word Quidditch, which is not a word at all. The Quidditch World Cup, my lord?" said Wormtail. Frank dug his finger a little bit more vigorously into his ear. "Forgive me, but I do not understand. Why should we wait until the Quidditch World Cup is over?" "Because, fool, at this very moment, wizards are pouring into the country all over the world, and every meddler from the Ministry of Magic will be on duty, on the watch for signs of unusual activity, checking and double-checking identities. They'll be obsessed with security, lest the Muggles notice anything. So, we wait." Frank stopped trying to clear out his ear. He distinctly heard the words Ministry of Magic, Wizards, and Muggles. Plainly, each of these expressions meant something secret, and Frank could only think of two people who could speak in code: spies and criminals. Frank tightened his hold on a walking stick once more and listened more closely still. Your lordship is still determined, then?" said Wormtail quietly. "Certainly I am determined, Wormtail." There was a note of menace in his cold voice now. A slight pause followed. Then Wormtail spoke, the words tumbling from him in a rush, as though he was forcing himself to say this before he lost his voice. "It could be done without Harry Potter, my lord." Another pause, more protracted. Then, "Without Harry Potter?" breathed the second voice softly. "I see." "My lord, I do not say this out of concern of the boy," said Wormtail, his voice rising crookedly. "This boy is nothing to me, nothing at all. I mean, it's merely that if we were to use another witch or wizard anywhere, that the thing could be done so much quickly. And if you allow me to leave you for a short while, I could disguise myself more efficiently. I could be back here as a little as 2 days with a suitable person." "I could use another wizard," said the cold voice softly. "That is true." "My lord, it makes sense," said Wormtail, sounding thoroughly relieved now. Laying eyes on Harry Potter would be difficult, and he's so well protected. And you volunteered to go fetch me a substitute? I wonder. Perhaps the task of nursing me has become more irksome for you, Wormtail? Could the suggestion of abandoning the plan, be nothing for an attempt to desert me? My lord, I've no wish to leave you. None at all. Do not lie to me, hissed the second voice. I can always tell, Wormtail. You're forgetting that you ever returned to me. I revolt when I see you. I see you flinch when you look at me. Feel you shudder when you touch me. No, my devotion to your lordship. Your devotion would be nothing more than cowardice. You wouldn't have been here if you had anywhere else to go. How am I survived without you when I need milk feeding every few hours? Who is to milk in agony? But you seem so much stronger, my lord. Liar, said the second voice. I'm no stronger. In a few days, would be enough to rob you of the little health I have regained on your clumsy care. Silence! Wormtail, who had been spreading uncertainty, said silence at once. For a few seconds, Frank could hear nothing but the fire crackling. Then the speck